Will a toe injury derail Justin Fields' effort to get himself back on track and the Jets on track? We'll talk about that today here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You heard it is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL Barbershop Show that comes on here in the afternoon on the Locked On NFL Network. And as usual, it's Monday, and my guest is Julian Council from Locked On Panthers. He's here to help me navigate through some of the biggest stories going on since training camp has started. Buckle your seatbelt. We're about to do it. And we got to let you know that we're free to subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you tap into that location, whether you watch or listen. We will be there. I want to shout out to everydayers as well for joining us. And if you're new here, I'll give you a reason to come back. All right, here we go. Download the Gametime app today and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. That is today's sponsor for our show. And now we'll get to what the show's going to be about. We're going to end up talking about the Bucs wide receiver race and why it'll be so fun. It's going to surprise you with what I say because they drafted a luxury player when they could have gotten someone else. And right in the middle of the show, Drew Brees is teaching Nix tricks. Sean Payton's former quarterback, wrong team, but who's worried about that? He's going to help this young quarterback, and we'll talk about Denver. But we're going to start the show talking about Justin Fields and his superpower being nullified. What I mean by that is we all know Justin Fields is a runner, a great runner. We question his ability to pass the ball, Julian Council, and now he has a dislocated toe. And I'm just thinking that's all we need. But maybe he'll surprise us, and you know what? They'll change the way they call plays, and he'll just start throwing the ball around a lot.
Yeah, well, he has returned back to practice. I saw a Jets Twitter account putting out there, Justin Fields the first person to die, then practice the next day. So
it's funny.
He is fine. As far as like he's not going to miss any time at all going into the season. We'll see if he plays in the preseason, if there's any sort of setback there, but he is out there. And I was driving the Panthers camp on a Wednesday morning, and I had seen the report that Justin Fields had been carted off the field with a leg injury. I'm like, of course. I mean, it's the Jets. If there was any team out there that was going to have that happen to them, a quarterback who still has promise and at a second chance, Aaron Glenn first getting over there when I told him, man, don't go over there. It's the Jets. That would be the team to happen to. So I'm glad to hear that he's available, that he's back practicing. And apparently here's some training camp stats for you. Zach Rosenblatt of the Athletic said he went 6 for 6 during 7-on-7 drills on Saturday. Now, JJ Watt hates training camp stats.
Yeah.
So just take that with a grain of salt because JJ told us to not care about training camp stats. But according to that stat, Justin Fields is cooking with his arm, even though we know he's probably a better runner, more of a threat there with his legs and his arm at this point in time in his career.
Let's listen to what John Butchko said at the time of that injury, and then we'll come back. And I'll tell you why it might be a little bit of a pleasant surprise that Justin has to depend on something else. And I know he's back, but we know these toe injuries, they can linger all season long. Here's John Butchko.
Jets quarterback Justin Fields suffered a dislocated toe injury during the team's training camp practice on Thursday. Fields suffered the injury early during the team's second practice of training camp. He limped to the sidelines, then was carted off the field. If you're a Jets fan, you probably had a sense of, oh no, here we go again, when you heard the news that Justin Fields was carted into the locker room, because you remember what happened 2 years ago when the Jets lost their starting quarterback for the year in the first game of the regular season. At least at that point, the Jets made it all the way to the regular season. There had to be a sense of dread among Jets fans because nothing can ever go right for this team. However, Fields' injury was revealed to be a dislocated toe. Now, I don't mean to minimize the injury because Fields is learning a new system. He's trying to get comfortable with new teammates, and a lot of his game depends on mobility, and the toe injury could impact him there. But there's still a lot of time for him to get ready for the regular season, and considering what the alternatives could be, Jets fans should be breathing a sigh of relief right now.
Yeah, they should be breathing a sigh of relief. And he said something else. He said nothing ever goes right for this team. And I just said, He just agreed with Julian Council. Nothing ever goes right for the Jets. All of us can make that come to that conclusion. Here's what I hope happens with this. I kind of hope, I hate saying I hope something lingers, but I kind of hope it does linger, because I kind of think what that will do is make him change a little bit and make them change their thought process and stop leaning so much on the thing that he does well and force him to show you whether or not he can throw the ball or not consistently.
Yeah, so you're kind of like, maybe it could be a blessing in disguise.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to do.
In the pocket. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. No, like, I think that it's not a big toe. And from like all the reports, like, if it would have been a big toe, then he would have been like in trouble with it. I guess it could be his pinky. I don't know what toe it is, but he'll be fine, it sounds like. And the Jets need to have every element of Fields' game available to them, because Lord knows they need everything in order to just have anything go just semi their way for whatever reason. The football guys just do not shine upon that part of New York. But like, I'm excited to see what he can do, because good opportunity for him. He's back with his old college teammate Garrett Wilson. And that's a good situation to have one of the best receivers, one of the best young receivers at the very least in the NFL. And I do think Aaron Glenn has an opportunity to put together a solid foundation there. Now, can it be a complete copycat or carbon copy what they did in Detroit? I don't know. I'd probably guess unlikely. But this is Justin Fields' opportunity. Probably maybe his last opportunity to really be the guy. And in Detroit, no one thought that Jared Goff is going to actually get that job past the season. And I don't think anyone right now sitting here talking about the Jets thinks that Justin Fields is going to keep this job past one season. So NFL, not for long. Like, this is your last chance. You had Chicago. I don't think things were ever fair for him there. You look at last year, maybe it wasn't right to take him out the way Pittsburgh was having success, but this is a team game, and it's not only about what the quarterback is doing. QB wins are not a stat, but this is really Justin's true legitimate chance to be a starter in the NFL, and we'll see if he can take advantage of it. But he's going to need his arm and his leg in order for that to be the case.
Hey man, look, the way they made it sound, I was expecting them to Paul Pierce him back to practice the next day. You know what I'm saying? It's like the worst injury ever. They made it sound like dude got beat up, jumped, got like, instead of 100 men, it was a one man fighting the gorilla, and he got all torn up or something. And then all of a sudden he walks back and practice the next day. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to hit the top of segment 2 in just a second. I'm going to tell you about Drew Brees helping out somebody that's not a Saints quarterback. It's weird, but I understand it. We'll discuss that more here in just a second on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is brought to you and sponsored by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, me and all of my friends are playing Yahoo Fantasy for the 15th year in a row, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth trek into fantasy football. To celebrate 20 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins August 4th. Stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Moving and grooving here on Locked On NFL. Before we get to Drew Brees, got some breaking news that we got from our man David Wade out with the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's hit that right now.
We have breaking news because the Chargers just made Rashawn Slater the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. This is Daniel Wade here from Locked On Chargers, coming to you with the news that per Adam Schefter, the Chargers and Rashawn Slater have come to an agreement on a 4-year, $114 million contract extension with a record $92 million guaranteed. That puts him above Tristan Wirfs as the highest paid left tackle and highest paid offensive lineman, and he absolutely deserves it. He's been a top 3 left tackle over the last 4 seasons, and the Chargers have locked up a franchise cornerstone left tackle one they searched for over a decade. But this is also a huge investment in Justin Herbert, who now has Slater and up-and-coming star Joe Alt together for at least the next 4 seasons. They still have to figure things out on the interior, but this is a gigantic move. For the full breakdown, make sure to follow the Locked On Chargers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say maybe the top tackle duo in the league, not in Philadelphia, even though those guys have accomplished a whole bunch more. Jim Harbaugh set out, he said offensive linemen are weapons. Looking back, since they gave this big extension to the left tackle, Joe Alt is always going to be a right tackle now, at least for the foreseeable future. You think you got any regrets? Any regrets that, maybe they should have taken Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr. last year instead of doubling down on offensive linemen, or you think Jim Harbaugh's right where he wants to be with that?
No, this is what Jim wants to do. I mean, this is obviously a guy who wants to win games in the trenches, and that's how we know football teams have to be built. He did it back in San Francisco his first time around in the NFL. He did it when he was at Stanford. He did it at Michigan before coming back to the league last year with the Chargers. And you look at who they took in the draft this past year. Almara and Hampton at North Carolina with that first-round pick. They want to be a team that can run the football. They want to be a team that can win up front. And when you already had Rashawn Slater on the roster, it was a no-brainer to give him this deal. It's not like this was really a conversation at all. It was just about, was he going to become the first $30 million left tackle or just tackle in the history of the NFL, which he's at $28.5 million right now. So we'll see how that market moves forward with that position. So no brainer to give him the money. Joe Alt, kind of now, like you're mentioning, feels like a luxury pick, but I don't think that Jim's looking at that this way at all. And we'll see. I don't know if Joe Alt's going to pull like an Orlando Brown and be like, nah, I'm a left tackle, so you got to trade me. I don't think it's going to be one of those situations at all. He's living in LA. I think they're going to be a winning football team as long as Justin Herbert stays healthy. And even if Justin went down, I think Jim Harbaugh is a good enough coach to where he's going to find a way to get this team to win some games. And being at division, I keep bringing it up with KC, man, you gotta, that's kind of the way you got to find a way to really tilt things towards your like the scale towards you to have an advantage. And if your advantage is going to be you have two of the best tackles in the league, if Alt can develop into that along with Slater, who's already right up there, if you can have two great tackles, you can have a great running game of Hampton back there if that's how things play out, and you have a really solid quarterback. To me, that sounds like a really smart thing for this team to be able to do, and so I like it. I think no-brainer decision to make. So no, I don't think they made any mistake by not getting somebody either last year or this year at a different position aside from tackle.
All right, we're going to park right there in the AFC West because you just mentioned a lot of competition, and some of that is going to be in Denver. A lot of talk about these teams that were upstart teams last year, Denver and Washington, and whether people need to pump the brakes a little bit. More so with Washington because I think they play in the NFC as opposed to Denver, where all of these big-time quarterbacks and all of these teams are, mainly the Chiefs, who we'll get to in just a second. I think you have to do anything you can to help your team, and Sean Payton is going back to where he had the most success with quarterback. He's helping his young quarterback out with Drew Brees. Check this out.
To understand that to be in that small, very, very small percentage of players at the quarterback position who are truly great in the NFL, you have to work in such a way that very few people will ever work. There's a leadership principle that says if you want what few people have, you have to do what few people do. And Bo Nix exemplifies and embodies that. He's taking these extra measures that are very Peyton Manning-esque. And I want to get better in terms of being a passer or a thrower of the football. So I'm going to hire Tom House as a consultant to coach me up in this way. I want to get better at understanding Sean Payton's offense. So I'm going to go to the guy that understood it better than anybody for a longer period of time than anybody has ever played with Sean Payton, right? So you see Bo Nix taking these steps and these measures to be better in year two. He understands that you have to actively go out and chase that level of greatness.
Look, Sayer said that well, man, and I don't have any disagreement. In fact, I wasn't even thinking on those terms, but listening to him talk about this, he got me fired up. This is a good thing for a second-year quarterback to be doing.
Yeah, and that's everything you want to hear about guys, because here's the thing. like when you're in college, especially like just overall, like becoming a professional is what you want these guys to do in their first full off season as a professional. Because I mean, you can be a professional, doesn't mean you are actually acting like a professional. So when these guys go out and get chefs, when they are working out and staying in shape, losing weight, and then they're working out with these other quarterbacks and getting other kind of insight into their games, like I call that being a pro. So I love to hear that from Bo Nix. I love to hear that from any guy out there. And for Bo, especially, like, I know I didn't really buy into like Bo Nix having a great year as a rookie. I didn't think it was going to really work out in Denver. Now, if it was going to work with anybody, it's going to work with Sean Payton. And Sean Payton's obviously done a great job so far. And Sean doesn't seem to be worried at all about what Bo can be and what that team can do, even in that division with Kansas City, the big bad wolf led by Patrick Mahomes and all of that. We just stop with the Chargers. Like that's a tough ass division that they're in. So that's all positive things. And that's also all like very big off-season talk. Doesn't really mean a damn thing unless you go out there and actually take a step forward this upcoming season. But I do like buy into like that will only help Bo get better and is only a good thing for the Denver Broncos, as that's an organization that was totally in there for a minute there after that 2015 Super Bowl. Both the Panthers and the Broncos kind of went down into the dumps, and now they're right back there. They got a quarterback that city and that organization can believe in.
I gotta admit, man, I'll say this until people say, okay, you don't need to say it anymore. I'm gonna tell you, one thing I do is I miss also when I say players are going to be good and then they turn out not to be good because they get up there and all of that pressure and they don't handle, they don't become pros like you say. One thing that rarely happens though, and I'm being honest, I'm probably at 80-85%. And those are my numbers that I'm just throwing out there. I rarely say somebody's gonna be bad and they turn out to be good. And that's exactly what happened with Bo Nix. So that's why I go the extra mile to admit that every single time. None of us are perfect, even though we try to be. All right, park it right there. We're talking about the Chiefs. It's funny how all of these teams are talking about, can we maintain this 1 year, or doing the right things by building for the future, like Harbaugh drafting a lineman when you already have one. The Chiefs' problems are a little bit different. You can call them problems if you want. They're just worried about right now. They ain't worried about the future. They probably got somebody on that staff looking towards the future and trying to be fiscally responsible, but their whole thing is to win this thing right now. Check this out from Locked On Chiefs.
I mean, if you're still focusing on what happened in February, and I get it, I mean, you want to learn from it, but your time to learn from it is over. You know, what you did that in the off season, you did that watching the film. Now you're going forward. I mean, you've got your plan about how you're going to try and win a Super Bowl in 2025. What happened in February, if you continue to dwell on what happened in February, you're not going to make it to February this year. So, and this team does a really good job of closing the door.
They got to be in the moment, man. And plus, they're built for that. They can't be in the past. They can't be in the future. The future is right now. Andy Reid's not getting any younger. Chris Jones not getting any younger. It's time for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's some weird pressure to have, isn't it, man? It's like anything short of winning a Super Bowl is a failure.
Yeah, and kind of nice to live that life, right? I don't think not many fan bases, organizations can sit there and feel that way. I know the Patriots, when they had Brady and Belichick, they felt that way. I think Cowboy fans, for whatever reason, still feel that way. They shouldn't. The Niners at one point in time felt that way. The Steelers at one point in time feel that way. Maybe they still feel that way. And that's why I think people are calling for a Tomlin's head every single year. It's just, I don't think Kansas City is a team that's going to dwell on what happened in February like they were talking about, because they didn't do it the last time. They got their ass kicked and embarrassed in a Super Bowl, and they went out there and they fixed the offensive line. Now, I wonder, did they do enough to fix the offensive line this offseason? Because Jalen Moore was like their big offseason addition, and
then they drafted a kid out of Ohio State that was banged up last year,
right?
Josh Simmons, right?
Yeah, and Josh Simmons played all over that offensive line, so he's probably more naturally a guard than he is a tackle. So that's the one thing we'll see, because I know they gave Trey Smith a nice extension, which makes sense, and Joe Tooney should be back where he needs to be. But now he's actually been traded to Chicago. Never mind, he's gone. So we'll see. We'll see what that offensive line looks like, because that's really what's been their kryptonite in those two Super Bowls that they lost. I mean, one of them was in Tampa, which it was pandemic, but still, like that's kind of the weird
It
situation.
would have happened. The way that line was, it would have happened. I don't care what demic we were in. They were going to get
exactly.
It was butt whooping demic is what it was, and that's what happened to them. I think that's the division everybody's going to watch, and that's different because it's on that Pacific time. It's not every day we say that's the division everybody's going to pay attention to, and they're playing at 4:00 every Sunday. That's weird. It's going to be something that we have to kind of get used to again. All right, the Bucs have a lot of people to throw the ball to, and they got a quarterback to do it. The Colts, they have a lot of people to throw the ball to, but we don't know who's going to throw the ball and if they can even do it when they are in the game. We'll discuss both of those teams here in the third and final segment of Locked On NFL. All right, we've all been there logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, right? Only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling and trying to find the best deal, Gametime's zone deals pick the best seats and section for you. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Tampa Bay has a very, very promising team with a very, very promising season in front of them. The only thing is can their new offensive coordinator do what their last two new offensive coordinators did, and that's keep the consistency going with that offense. One way they'll be able to get some help in that area is, well, they just got a whole bunch of receivers that know how to get open. They had three really good ones already, even though Chris Godwin was coming back off injury. Mike Evans is a little bit older, but he still had 1,000 yards last year. And they had a rookie, Mr. McMillan out of Washington. And now they have Emeka Egbuka. The fourth receiver was a first-round draft pick. Who's going to catch the ball in Tampa? They have so many options. Listen to my man Yarko down with Locked On Bucs.
But we've talked about the battle at receiver all summer long. Are they going to keep 6? Are they going to keep 7? If it's 6, you have a whole lot of players battling for one spot. Evans, Godwin, Egbuka, McMillan, they're locked. Then I have Shepard and Tez. Is Shep on the bubble? Is Tez going to end up on the practice squad to start the season while Palmer or Jarrett or Cam Johnson, they make it as the 6th receiver? This is going to be an absolutely phenomenal battle for one spot, and it's going to bring out the best in everyone.
I will agree. Competition is very, very good, and it's always fun to watch. We watch those battles. We do that. We break our roster down to the possible 53, but not very many of us get to number 4, and the dude is a bona fide, what we think, a potential star at the position.
Yeah, they're in a good position there when you look at Mike Evans coming back. We'll see how great Chris Godwin's going to bounce back from the injury last year and whether he'll be good to go. And then, Joe McMillan impressed as a rookie. And then now you talk about Emeka Egbuka. And let's understand this. Ohio State, especially recently, has put out a ton of great wide receivers. In the history of that program, the Ohio State University, he is the all-time leading receiver. Now, is he the best receiver that ever come out of Ohio State? No, that would probably be Chris Carter. But he is one of clearly the most accomplished wide receivers in the history of that program. And that's something that cannot be overlooked. And I saw Baker Mayfield was on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers, and he was pointing out Emeka Egbuka, how that guy immediately is going to be able to come help them out. So you can talk about those 4. And then let's not forget Bucky Irving, the running back's going to be a part of the passing game. Cade Otton, the tight end, will be a part of the passing game. And James talked about guys like Tez Johnson and what his role is going to be. His role needs to be special teams. Because once you get past the 4th wide receiver, you can keep 5 and keep 6, you can keep 7. Don't matter. Whoever that last or the last couple of guys are, they ain't here to catch balls. They're there to play special teams. And if they come in there on offense, their job is probably going to be to block or be a decoy. So that's really what the focus is going to be for the back end guys. But I don't think Emeka Egbuka, I don't think that's what his role is necessarily going to be right away. Like he'll probably have to do special teams, of course, but I do think he actually can be a pretty nice piece of this offense. But you have a lot of weapons there for Baker Mayfield, and we'll see if they can keep the good times rolling, because that offense was really good last year. And you look at the division, I still think that Tampa Bay should be the favorites down in the NFC South.
Egbuka was the number one athlete in his class. And I heard that if you put all of those wide receivers that they had in Ohio State, he was like the number one athlete in terms of, like, if you're going to play kickball, if you're going to play basketball, or if you're going, whatever it was, you want to pick him first. I love guys like that, right? That all changed now with Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, the best at everything that has ever existed at Ohio State, in my opinion. I think he would have been the first player picked in the draft this year if he'd have been out. That's just how good I think that kid is. Yeah. The Colts. We love to talk about weapons, and you mentioned Baker Mayfield while we were talking, because you know he has shown you he can get them the ball. I have no idea who's going to throw the ball to those people up there, but I heard that tight end that everybody likes, Tyler Warren, he's doing pretty good in camp, making life pretty easy on whoever is back there. Check this out from Locked On Colts.
I think everyone is going to be pretty pleased to hear. First round pick tight end Tyler Warren he's looking the part, guys. The first day there wasn't really much happening with him, but these last 2 days he's really turned it on. He looked really good in the spring. Like, he stood out like a man amongst boys, was making plays every day. Same thing today. And he's helping make these quarterbacks look good too. Like, he is making passes completed that oftentimes had no business being completed from both quarterbacks. So he's been really good. He's been used most commonly so far as kind of an outlet. He's like a dump off option. We haven't seen like all this stuff testing the middle of the field that we know Shane really, really wanted. That will come, but right now he's like a safety blanket on the.
All right, so here's the deal. When my man said he's catching balls that normally wouldn't be caught, that's a good thing, because I think they're going to be throwing a whole bunch of balls that normally should not be caught.
Yeah. That's good to hear for Colts fans. All those pictures that you saw, none of them have Tyler Warren in pads. The spring, Warren in pads. So like that, I know we talk about training camp and everything, but none of this means a damn thing to me until the pads come on. And I think for a lot of teams, that's going to be happening on Monday, like today. So once we get reports of the pads being on and him making those plays, it doesn't really move me at this point in time. But I am curious, like you, who's going to get my guy Josh Downs the ball? Who's going to get Michael Pittman the ball? Who's going to get Tyler Warren, who I think actually is going to be pretty doggone good? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not impressed right now because there's no pads, but I think he will be impressive once the pads do come on and we start playing some actual football games this preseason and, of course, during the regular season. Outside of, like, the Browns, is this the worst quarterback situation in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh,
no
sorry.
doubt.
I forgot about the Saints. Because I'm not buying Shuck.
Tyler Shuck. You're not trying. Shuck's getting first team reps down there, brother.
Yeah, I'm not buying 7-year college football player Tyler Shuck. I understand that he was injured a lot of that, but no, I'm not buying Spencer Rattler. Never have, and I'm not buying Jake Haener as much as I enjoy Jake Haener photo shoots where he looks ridiculous and like last at Fresno. That's the worst situation. Then Cleveland, I saw that apparently Kenny Pickett, he's banged up now, which all right. Okay,
they just might well play Shador.
Just play that matters to you, then that's you're probably not in a good situation. Who knows what's going on with Deshaun, Shador? I'm just not going to say anything there because I don't want to deal with it. And then like Joe Flacco. So outside of those two situations, this has got to be the worst in the league. Like Anthony Richardson, I want to believe. I still think that he should be the starter. Putting Daniel Jones in there does nothing for you if you're Indianapolis. But we'll see. We'll see, man, because they're going on with the whole let's quarterback competition, this and that, and you don't really get that in the NFL. And I can't name very many teams that have had success with that happening in recent years. So we'll see. Tyler Warren, that's great. Quarterback situation, less than great.
To those Cowboy fans that's wondering why y'all caught shrapnel from my man Julian when I didn't even talk about y'all today, I will give y'all this. Donovan Ezaraku is playing really, really well in camp. And there's a joke in there that only Julian and I know. I butchered that kid's name when this show started. And I've been sitting there thinking, should I try it? Should I try it? I said, yep. I had to. He gave me a reason to mention Donovan Ezeraku's name, but I totally butchered it. When I butchered it so bad, we had to start this show over like 5 times because I was still laughing so hard. All right, man. Julian Council is here as always doing his thing. Monday's not the same without Julian. Y'all know that. I got to let you know about this, though. Thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Bets. Betting experts Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers have daily MLB locks. That'll be NFL soon when these games start getting played, and can't miss football futures. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And y'all better get over there and get those Teteroy McMillan updates daily from my man Julian Council. Hey, Travis Hunter is the real deal. I'm telling you right now, he is. I hope we'll be watching Teteroy McMillan too. As a matter of fact, they'll play each other on the first day of the year. That's right, week 1. I might have to go up to the Queen City. Let me see if I can go up.
It's going to be in your town.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Damn, it is here. See, week 1 down here. You coming?
No.
Okay. See, he said I ain't gonna make it. Yeah, that's right. So I was sitting there thinking, I'm looking forward to that Kansas City game. I hope the Jaguar players aren't doing this because we go to Cincinnati week 2, and then week 3 we're in prime time against the Chiefs. So that's everybody's kind of like looking at the Chiefs as the opener.
So the Chiefs are in prime time playing the Jags.
Yeah, that's right. They're in prime time playing the Jags. That's right. However you want to frame it.
Yeah, it's not like the Jags are.
Yeah.
Chiefs are in prime time.
Hey man, I'm gonna get you out there before you slice somebody else up. Hey man, that's Julian Council. Check him out over at Locked On Panthers and me right here on Locked On NFL, and Tyler rolling early in the morning on Locked On NFL as well. We'll see y'all, man. Thank y'all for joining us today.